Hello, everyone, and big welcome. This is a much-awaited conversation with Alex Verlek, who is a world-acclaimed master coach and an author. And my name is Anastasia Mizitova, and I'm very honored and privileged to lead this conversation today with Alex about his new book, Golden Rules of Coaching, and in particular, one of his translations into a new language. So hello, Alex. So good to see you. And welcome to this conversation.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for hosting this party. And I'm really looking forward to the time to spend with you. Fantastic. And of course, with everybody out there.
Oh, yeah. Let's give a big welcome to everybody across the globe. So wherever you are, welcome. So the first thing I will ask you is to demonstrate your book, or is it books? Can you show it?
Where is it? Where is it? Well, let's start with, yay, the Russian version.
Oh my God, it's in Russian.
Yay, it is in Russian. Okay, then we have the original version in English.
And it's in English.
And we're counting. We are also available in German.
Can you say this in German?
Don't ask me the same question for the next book, please.
I was going to do that.
In German, goldene Regeln für Coaching, for coaches.
So neither you or I can do the Chinese, can we?
Well, I challenge you. Maybe you can.
I cannot, I'm sorry. I would love to, though. But I can say this. I can say Zолотые правила коучинга, because I translated this.
Yay!
Yay!
Big round of applause for you.
And I have to say, yeah. I loved this book, Alex. Thank you so much. It's easy, it's fun, it's deep. And I just want to ask you, how come? Why did you write this book? Why now?
Sometimes I ask myself the same question. I wrote another book, and writing a book is a big process. And I asked myself, why indeed another book? Because I can put that tick mark behind my name. But a second one just had to come out of me. It is to celebrate 15 years in the profession of coaching, and it is to pass on some of the lessons that I've picked up whilst being on that journey. So it is to celebrate, it is to share, it is to inspire, and is to pay forward.
Wow, what does it mean to pay forward?
That's a great question. For me, that is first a sign of gratitude to those who paid forward to me. Now, once upon a time, I didn't know anything about coaching. And then there were people who dedicated parts of their life to train other people to grow up in the profession. And bit by bit, I became more experienced. And now it is my turn to pay forward to those who are following in my footsteps. And, one of the desires is that one day, and it's already happening, that I'll look at people like, wow, the student became the master. And that is so wonderful because, there is so much work to be done. And we need many of us, your colleague as well, who do the same thing and spread the good work.
The good work and the good word, right? So there will be people watching us thinking, oh, that's interesting. That's a new book. And I've been looking for a book about coaching. What is it all about?
The book captures 15 golden rules as what I see as the key lessons that I've picked up in the last 15 years. It could have been much more, but since I like thin books myself, I prefer a thin book over a big one or an encyclopedia. I had to think about what are the 15 key lessons that I picked up over those 15 years. And it starts for me with one of the ground rules for coaching, where I see many of us confusing coaching with other important, good professions, yet in essence differently. And that is the first golden rule. Coaching is about exploration, not about explanation. Where, for me, the essence of coaching is taking our clients, the people that we are allowed to work with, to take them on a special journey, as if they're on a scavenger hunt, to explore new terrain. They do not come to us to tell to us what they already know. So that is for me like a ground rule in coaching. As soon as our clients start to tell us stories, things that they already know, or a lot of details, that's not what they come to us for. So to take them on that really cool journey of exploring new terrain and try to discover what's around the corner and what hurdles do we need to take to get to where they want to go to, that's such an exciting process.
Wow. I can really feel this. I literally feel this now. Exploration, which means uncovering something new, something amazing, this aha moment. Any other rules? I've read the book a number of times while I was translating, so I appreciate all the 15, but I'm just wondering what else comes to mind when you're thinking about this book? What rule?
Well, one that speaks very close to my heart is when I wasn't in a coaching session or in a coaching relationship even, yet where it was a situation with my son, and it's spoken about in the second chapter of the book, where I had to learn that it is impossible to fix other people's problems. And as a parent, of course, you want the very best for your children. And we all try to give them a little push here or there and reward them, challenge them. If we're in a bad mood, maybe even punish them a little bit for something that they do wrong in our eyes. And in all honesty, I've made all those mistakes as a father. I can't deny that. But there was a moment where, God must have given me a bright moment where I stopped giving him advice, stopped telling him what to do, and just was there with him. And that was the beginning of huge change in his life, where he actually claimed back his life, which slipped through his fingers. And that was such a game changer for me, that moment. I was already working as a coach for quite some years, but there was one lesson that I still had to learn myself on a very personal level.
That's amazing. And I just know how important the story is to you. And you are very brave, very open, you have a lot of integrity about this. And I just acknowledge you and I praise you for this. And another interesting thing just happened. You explained that coaching goes way beyond just professional coaches. And it could be a parental tool. And I'm just wondering how your book, how your wisdom could be applied beyond just immediate professional coaching community.
Thank you for that question, because I think it is so important that I would love to take, let me go there. I would love to take coaching skills into schools where, kids learn how to be different with each other, how to learn differently from each other, how to listen differently to each other, how to be curious about each other instead of just like, is this good? Is this bad? The judgmental approach that we all know so very well, me included. And one of the things that changed a lot for me is when I started to listen in a different way. I've been trained to listen, to analyze, to listen through the filters. Do I get this? Do I like this? Do I approve this? Is this good in my eyes or bad? And if that would be the only thing that we as human beings could change, and one of the chapters is dedicated to that, listen to connect, not to understand, that could be a game changer in personal relationships, but also in professional relationships. Oftentimes we listen through a filter. Do I get this? Does it fit in a certain box that I created for myself? That's the box of I get it, and the right box, or even the better than box. There are other books who speak about that. But if we could start listening through a filter like, what is the other human being actually trying to communicate with me? What is the other human being actually trying to communicate with me? Through their words, through their facial expressions, through their hand gestures, through their body posture. You know, there is so much that we can pick up by really listening in that way that we would otherwise miss. Imagine you're a manager leading a team, and all we do is listen in certain boxes, through certain boxes, certain filters. You will hear things that fit in the box and many things that do not fit in the box. If we were to then adjust our way of listening to, let me try to connect with the other human being who is transmitting messages to me, away from judgment, above and beyond intellectual understanding, I think that could change the workplace big time. If you look at our personal relationships, whether you are in a romantic relationship or in a parent-child relationship or with the rest of your family, you know, these are the places where we think, oh, this is the nice places where we're being loved, and at the same time, this is where the most conflict happens. If we were able to look at other people through the lens of what are they trying to transmit, or what is their longing instead of what is my longing for them, many things could change in the relationships. I could go on forever, but
I love this. And I'm listening to you and I'm thinking, you said the intention should be to connect rather than understand. But in this world today, some people get into a conversation with the explicit intention to disconnect. It's like, I know all about you, right? So you don't have to say anything to me. So if only people had this intention to connect, that would be amazing. That would be amazing. And that makes me think that your book is way more than just coaching, tool for coaches. That's really tools for kindness. That's tools for making this world whole, complete. So that's what I was thinking when I was translating your book. Is there any place in your book that you would specifically think of in terms of practical tools for beginners, maybe? So if there could be some proficient people with years of coaching experience, but there could be people who have nothing to do with coaching, like managers or parents, and they just want to try this out. Is there anything you would suggest to them?
Maybe the chapter where I speak about the fact that I believe there are no bad or difficult coachees, clients. You know, we use both words.
That's a good one.
Whether we are a beginning coach or a more experienced coach, I think we never should, I'm going to use the should word, forget that the people who come to us are oftentimes clueless what coaching is about. So first, dear colleague, coaches, train yourself that you know what coaching is about, so that from there, you can take the clients by the hand and set context for what you're doing. Have we ever started to play a board game without looking at the rules and making sure that everybody is aligned about the rules of the board game? Because if not, it is going to be a little bit of a mess most of the time. Unless it's called improv theater. Oh, even there are rules of the game. So setting the context, giving the context to our clients so that they understand what we are doing with them and why we are doing certain things with them. And I can go back to that first golden rule, exploration, not explanation, because our clients come to us with the assumption they have to tell us all the background stories, all the details, and gazillion things that's just like a data dump. And what we will do as coaches is intrude them and help them to come to the essence in their words. But in many cultures, intruding is rude. So we have to train our clients. Why would say, can I pause you for a second? What is the essence of what you're trying to say here? If we would not explain that to them, they would, and rightfully so, probably experience that as, that's not very rude. I thought you were such a good listener. You intrude me all the time. Well, if they don't know what we are listening for, we are not on the same page.
And it doesn't even sound like anything special. It's just a very meaningful conversation. And I'm smiling here because I remember in your book you said, and you don't have to use this special coaching voice.
Oh,
like beyond the grave voice. So
don't.
Yeah, you don't have to do this. So I'm thinking there are many coaching books available, but this one is special in many ways. And one way this is special is it became global. And you have traveled a lot with this book. I can't even name all the places where you've been, but I know it was China, it was Dubai. As far as I can remember, it was all across Europe, and you're planning to come to the US as well. What is it about this book that made it global, and what's going on with all the translations and all this? Tell us about this.
Yeah. That is inspired by what I see as my personal big why. When coaches, especially then with their coach's voice, like to call it your life purpose. My big why is that I see myself as an awareness builder who inspires and supports the army of positive change that we collectively can be. An army that fights with a different kind of weapons, such as curiosity, questions, silence, metaphors, instead of telling other people how to think and how to behave and what we feel is best for them. And I believe that we need a growing army that fights with these kind of weapons. And as I said, I call this army the army of positive change. And that's a global thing. There are old-fashioned armies all around the place, and we have old-fashioned arguments at home all around the globe. So it's not just an army in the traditional sense of the word, but it's also the individual that can learn to fight in a different way and fight for different reasons. And I want to take that story all over the world. And I also like, adventures, and travel is one of my values. But I like to go to all continents. That's part of the plan that's happening now. To all continents and say, well, here you got something. And please get inspired by it. I hope you can use it in how you work as a coach and how you work as an HR professional, as a psychologist, as a manager, as a parent, as a partner. And by touching, maybe I just touch 20, 50, 100, like directly in one place, but believing in the ripple effect that comes from there. The one individual that I'm allowed to touch will touch other lives, etc., etc., etc. So I want these rules, golden rules for coaching, to become like a movement that travels through the world, where we just learn to be in a different way with each other.
That's amazing. So, it's really inspiring. If we're fighting, let's fight for the good. Let that be the only fight we fight, right? That's amazing. I'm wondering, that's a fun question. You've done so much work. You've been writing the book. You have been managing all the translations. You have been on the global tour. There must have been something fun going on behind the scenes. So that's a rare opportunity for us to ask this question as your audience. Tell us one fun thing that's been going on behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, well, for instance, this time let me refer to the Russian translation that we have. And then you have a conversation with a wonderful colleague and friend, and she says, yes, I'm going to do the translation. And then you receive a document back with the Russian version of the book that you wrote. And of course, Word tells me how to hold the screen, but I'm clueless what I'm looking at. And then I took this to my poor designer who did the English version, and but his Russian, like mine, is a little bit rusty.
I'm surprised.
I'm sorry.
I'm shocked.
I know. I deeply apologize for this. And that was the first one that we started to work on. And my designer looked at me like, Alex, seriously? What are you asking? Because you're asking me to design something and I'm clueless what I'm looking at. So he almost walked away from me. He almost fired me. And I thought, okay, what the heck I'm going to do without my designer? So a big thank you to that guy somewhere in the Netherlands who's doing all these designs in all these languages where you're clueless. Like, what?
That's the same thing with Chinese, Japanese.
It is.
And what is it to you? And this is obviously an insight very closely linked to the very idea of your book. What is it to you?
Well, not everybody is able to or willing to read in English. And if we can make it more available to people who are curious about this in multiple languages, and where it can also be slightly adjusted to how would it read in that specific language, or what would be an example that is specific for that culture. The languages come with a certain culture. And you can say certain things now, for instance, working on the Korean translation, very practical language here in Europe. But over there is a very enthusiastic community of coaches in South Korea. I don't know about North Korea. But in South Korea, there is a growing community of super enthusiastic coaches. And when I go there to teach, my lessons need to be simultaneously translated because the level of English is not to the point that they would all get it. So if we can translate this into their language so that they get it, they can take it and start creating from it. That's so in line with what this book is about. Create that positive change.
This is getting the message across and making sure that people understand, and smashing the barriers on the way. So we have about 3 minutes, and I have 2 questions for you.
Oh.
That's kind of, fast questions for you. Number 1 is, what is your wish to the people who will be reading this book? What's your message that you're bringing? Just in a couple of words. And another one is, what is your wish for this book? Where do you want this book to travel? What do you want to happen to this book? You have about 2 minutes, Alex.
Oh. When you read this book, take time to sit with the reflection questions that each chapter has. Don't take my words for granted. Find your answers to the questions that are raised there. Don't take my answers, or my input as the truth. Find your own truth. Find your own authentic way forward with the topics that you find in a book. That's one. That's my personal wish for you. My wish for the book is that it travels the world a lot further than I will ever be able to. That it goes to places where you feel like, wow, it goes to that little corner hidden somewhere in the world. And that when somebody reads it, they will feel like, wow, this is a chance to make the world a bit of a better place. Whether they get coaching or not, I don't care. If they can take one thing out of that and their environment becomes a more friendly, loving environment, mission accomplished.
Fantastic. So I'm taking the word love, care, smashing the barriers, making the world a better place. One practical question I have for you. I want to order a book, this book. Where do I go?
There
So
you
now
go.
that you've inspired me, where do I order this book from?
Well, to manage expectations, to make it practical, the translations are available as an ebook and not as a printed version. You have one of the very few copies that we made. So ebooks for everybody. That means you will have it quick and fast, and you can order it through my website, www.alexverlek.nl, my name.nl. There you'll find a button books, and that's where you can order the book.
And NL stands for Netherlands, I would
Yay.
presume. Yay, I'm so smart. I can't believe it. So what would you like to complete our conversation with?
Well, I want to complete our conversation with a big thank you to you. Thank you for being such a dear friend and colleague. And thank you for putting so much time and effort in making this book available in Russian, an important language that is also spread out over the world. One question to you then, if I may.
Absolutely.
What did translating this book into your mother tongue bring you?
It brought me a lot of things. First, it happened in a challenging time for me, and it was like having a conversation with you. I read it many times as a translator, as you would imagine. It gave me a lot of satisfaction because I'm a part of big international process, which is much bigger than I am. It gave me a lot of reminders about what is really important, because as a coach, I trained, you were my master coach many years ago. You kind of, with time, you kind of put your nose up. Oh, I know stuff, right? I have so many coaching hours. And then reading your book was a very humbling experience, going back to basics, getting it right, paying attention to, every single thing you do, and connecting with amazing people across the globe who actually do the same thing, strive for the same goodness, is an amazing feeling. So thank you, Alex. You are amazing. Thank you. So with this, let me complete this conversation. Let me thank Alex for this. And let me encourage all of you to read good books about coaching, and definitely this one, which is just fantastic. So thank you for your time and have a wonderful day. Bye.